Hello, everybody, and welcome to another amazing episode of Unstoppable Success. I'm your host, Jaclyn Strominger, and as you know, on this podcast, we hear from amazing leaders who want to share their insights, their tips, their tricks on how they have had unstoppable success. And today, I get to share with you Lance Cayko, and let me tell you a little bit about Lance. He is a visionary architect, entrepreneur, and community leader. He is the co-founder of F9 Productions, and it's based in Colorado. Now, this is an acclaimed design build firm that these two gentlemen started, and they are known for their expertise in residential and small commercial projects, and they have flourished, earning a reputation for bold innovation and client-centered excellence. Now, Lance's career began with a hands-on construction work across multiple trades before he pursued formal education. He's got his master's in architecture, and he is here to share with us his insights on having unstoppable success. So welcome, Lance.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, Jaclyn.
All right. So you just, I just read you started in the trades and then you went back to get formal education. Talk a little bit about that journey, and that is having some grit in my brain.
Oh, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I think so. I'm 43. My journey started about 30 years ago when I was 13. I grew up in rural North Dakota between a cattle ranch and a sugar beet farm. And I tried farming with my dad on the sugar beet farm, and I lasted about a week. It wasn't
Oh,
that, yeah, it
oh,
wasn't, and it wasn't that I didn't like farming. It was because I literally have a nonprofit called Longmont Community Gardens and I'm constantly urban gardening. I just didn't get along with my dad too well, and the work was not that appealing to me at that point. So I quit, and he said, "We got to get a job. I'm not buying those Air Jordans." And I go, "All right, well, I'll get to get a job for those Jordans." So I called his best friend up. His best friend is a contractor. His name is Bruce. And I called him up and I said, "Hey, I'll do anything. I'll pick up garbage. Like, what do you got?" And he goes, "Oh, cool. Yeah, I need a guy like you. I need a gopher. Pay 7.25 an hour." And I was like, "Cool. What's a gopher?" And he goes, well, you're gonna go for this, go for that. When you're not going for the stuff, then you can get up
right.
on the roof and learn how to roof." And so I just fell in love with the work. You talk about grit. It was literally gritty, right? With all the asphalt shingles and stuff like that. Real hard work. We were getting up at like 5 every day, tearing off a roof, putting it on the same day. Just brutal stuff out in the sun. But I loved it so much. I loved the whole construction experience. And so much so that I was like the best gopher he ever had. He pulled me aside about halfway through the summer and said, "Give me my first business lesson." And I'll never forget it. And he's like, "Well, I'm paying you 7.25 an hour. What am I paying? What do you think I'm charging the owners for every hour of labor?" "Ah, 7.25 an hour," I said. And he laughed and I was embarrassed. And then he explained the multiplier to me. And he goes, "Oh, no, no, I'm charging, two, three, sometimes four times your labor." And I go, "Isn't that stealing? Isn't that like immoral?" And he laughed. Yeah, he laughed again, and I was embarrassed again. And he goes, "No, no, no." And he explained business to me. He explained overhead, the risk of doing all of this work, and then profit, and that profit is a lifeblood, and it's part of his reward for going out and taking all the risks. And I had so what I had at that moment, and I didn't realize it until about 10 years ago after I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. I had the Rich Dad Poor Dad experience. I went, "Oh, my rich dad was Bruce. My poor dad was the dad who raised me." Bruce had no anxiety around money. It wasn't even that he had like boats and cars and all this. It was just the way he operated with money. There was not this anxiety around it. Because I grew up with a mom and dad that would say all the time, having money isn't everything. And that always bugged me. And I didn't realize again until about 10 years ago, like why it bugged me. And then my favorite rapper, Kanye West, finished the phrase for me. He says, "Having money isn't everything, not having it is." And I went, oh man, that kind of feels a lot better in my chest.
Right.
Fast forward to the end of the summer. Bruce pulls me aside one more time. You could just tell he was like, he saw some potential compared to the other guys. Because I was a young guy and, hadn't been tainted by just run through the ringer of life.
Right.
And he says, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I go, well, I don't want to take your company, but I want to do what you do. I was like, how do I do that? And he said one of the most mature things, like emotionally mature things I think I've ever heard a man say to another man, essentially. It was like, well, next year you don't work for me. Next year you go work for a different general contractor and learn a different trade. So I wanted to be a builder first. And I took that as gospel. Every summer after that, from 13 to 20, I worked a different trade. I was like gung ho about, I'm going to be Bruce. I'm going to be a general contractor. I'm going to be a builder. Went to tech school for 2 years. And that's when another light bulb went off as far as business goes. And we had to our capstone project was building a house together with our other fellow students. And the word architect popped into my head because they rolled out blueprints. And I went, this is a 20-year-old thought, which is like I have 21-year-old son who can't even get out of bed. So like I think God just put it there, I'm really thankful for that. And the thing that went off in my head was, wow, I suddenly like school. Like, what if I just continued to go to school and went for architect? If I got the clients first as an architect, I could fold them into being a building project. I get paid 2 times. So that's what I did. And then the last light bulb was developer, because when we did our capstone in architecture school, this word developer keeps coming up. And I was like, oh, well, one day I should be a developer too, that I could do like all three and get paid 3 or 4 times. Because to me, it was just about like ridding myself of this anxiety of not, and I'm not even a person with like a lot of possessions or anything. I live very minimally. But that's what brought me here today, essentially, was and on my started my entrepreneurial journey.
I absolutely love that. So, like all these things on the way, it's amazing how one person can change somebody's trajectory.
Yeah, it is, all right. And so like you got to take your interaction seriously with people. I made a post on LinkedIn about that the other day, coincidentally, where because I remember as a young person trying to get into the architecture a profession, how hard it is to get your foot in the door. Everybody wants experience, experience. Well, how do you get in with you don't have experience? Somebody's got to give you a shot. So when I have candidates reach out to me, I always reply to them, even if I am almost immediately, even if I don't have anything for them, just to let them know that, like, hey, I saw you, I see you. Maybe we are hiring right now, maybe we're not. But how many times people get rejected just by silence? And then those people end up being your competitors in
Right.
maybe not the best way. So you got to really, when you're in a position of authority or hiring, essentially, that's real important because the smallest little things can make a big difference in people's lives.
It's so true, and I feel like it speaks my language. I talk about opportunities, and you never know when a conversation is going to lead to something. And so I'm curious, just to kind of like stay there for a minute. How did you get your break then in architecture?
Ha! First, I got broken. I had a very short internship when I was in college with a firm up in Fargo, North Dakota, because that's where I went to school at North Dakota State. But my first big break before I got broken was then I got one of the last internships in Colorado after I graduated. And I say it was one of the last because the Great Recession was just about to hit. And like I remember I lasted at that firm for about 9 months and then got laid off. And watching in that small firm, it was only 4 people, me included in the four, how they weren't actually treating it like a business and trying to procure work was shocking to me. And so when I got laid off, like they really were just artists at a certain point, and it wasn't like they were actively going out and trying to meet new people and advertise. The most simple thing, like just advertise on Google that they had services available and stuff like that. So I got laid off and cried my way home, called my grandma, was totally upset. Had to go home to my wife and 2 children. One was a baby, and just completely dejected as a young guy, right? You work so hard to graduate at the top. And so, but that plays into the law of polarity. It's like that was the negative part. And so now I've just been on a warpath for the past 17 years, essentially, trying to build and design and create a thriving business with an ecosystem that's sustainable such that I'm not having to lay anybody off like I was laid off. And so far, we haven't had any layoffs. As a matter of fact, last year, because of the ecosystem we created, where we have an architecture firm and a construction firm, we were light on architecture work, and I was able to pull the architects into the field, have them do a lot of construction administration, and fill that cash gap. And it was like once we did the math at the end of the year and looked at our books, it was very obvious to us that if we didn't have that other company, we would have laid one person off.
Okay, so kind of go back to that in a second though. So that firing, when you got fired, is that what then propelled you? Because we shared to create F9, and then did you do that with a gentleman from that company that you got laid off from, or?
Yeah, that was exactly why I started our company, F9 Productions, because at that point, one statistic a lot of people lose track of is in the architecture, engineering, and construction community during that Great Recession, half the people were laid off. It was so drastic. You couldn't get a job. But I was able to like find work. I'd always been able to find my own little jobs and stuff, even when I was like a carpenter, a young carpenter and stuff, and do side stuff. So I was like, well, if I start my own company, I can't like I could lay myself off, but you know what I mean? Like you can't lay yourself off. And then it was
Right.
just like everything's under my control. My business partner, Al Gore, he worked for Studio Daniel Liebskin out in New York City at the same time before we both got laid off. And same thing. That firm put all their eggs in one basket. Once those eggs were gone, it was like, well, it's layoff time. And that's who I teamed up with. And Al Gore's my best friend in college. We did a couple projects together. We won a couple competitions together. And so I called him up after I was starting to get work after I'd been laid off, and I go, hey, how much? He was so sick of living with his mom and dad because he went back and lived with mom and dad. Just again, embarrassed, dejected, all that. And I go, well, how much cash you got? Like I think I think I've got a sales funnel going. Like, do you have enough to come down for a couple months? He goes, yeah, I'll do anything. I'll get out of here. I just got to get out of here. And that's how we started the firm. We started out of his apartment. It's kind of like the garage story, you know.
Wow. Okay, so I want to kind of so just because I think people need to hear this, how did you start getting clients?
Very unorthodox, which is kind of what we've been doing ever since. We just
I
go,
like unorthodox. I like that. Okay.
yeah, we've just always looked at it like, and we're architects too, so we always kind of do things a little differently and just weirdly. We look at things like if something's black, we go, what if it's white? You know, and like, what does that look like or whatever? What does this building look like upside down? And so nobody at that time in Colorado, when we started our firm, was like advertising online. They weren't taking advantage of like lead generation websites like we use Thumbtack. We still use it. They weren't advertising on Google, but the most unorthodox way was we started advertising on Craigslist, which a lot of architects would look down on. They probably still would, where they go like, oh, Craigslist, you're going to be scraping at the bottom of the barrel with people. And we kind of were, admittedly. But then it became a challenge of once we started advertising on Craigslist and we started getting inquiries, it was, all right, these people don't have as big a fee or like a pile of money to spend on architects as maybe a different one, somebody from a referral. But how can we make it work? How can we still eat as much as we need to survive until we build a bigger client base? So that became us looking inward and redefining our systems and how we draw, how we design, and making things more streamlined. And then it led to another company we have, rocketship.com, where we made this amazing template with our CAD software. Now we've been teaching through the universities as we did for about a decade. All of our students took the course, and professionals around the world now take the course. So really, it was like this sort of a self challenge after we found the leads.
I absolutely love that. So I like the unorthodox. Um, so how much do you do in like personal reach outs?
Oh, quite a bit, quite a bit. There's all kinds of different ways. So there's a lot of times where we'll be reaching out to like a builder we really like and want to team up with, and just ask them if they're open to a lunch. and or realtors. Realtors are a really good one that we go after and just go say, hey, Kate, notice you're like kind of it in Longmont, for example, where our headquarters is. We're like, I see your signs everywhere. Would love to see if you're looking for to add another architect to your referral list and stuff like that. And one thing I always want to maybe make sure the audience understands is because I didn't understand this either, is like I've been hearing over and over and over again from other architecture colleagues that referrals are where they get most of their work. And I'm like, well, where are all our referrals? You know? And it's a long game. So
Mm-hmm.
just having that coffee with one of those two entities or another, tertiary entity, it doesn't mean it's going to happen that day. It's
Right.
really about staying in front of them, keeping on their radar, linking in with them, adding them to your newsletter. A statistic I've heard recently, which I believe is like it takes about 10 touches before you get one of these kind of clients, especially for a designer or like a builder.
It's like
So
10 to 12. I
yeah.
mean, right, it's 10 to 12 touches actually, and it really is. And it's actually, and sometimes it's actually that's some of the statistics is it's 10 to 12 touches before you might even get a call back,
Hmm.
right? So, but kudos to you for understanding that because that's nurturing. That's the long game. You're nurturing the relationship and it's making it go from something that's transactional to transformational. It's not it's not it's building on something that is really important. So people are getting to know you and you're not the used car salesman saying, "Hey, I've got a building to build for you today at 9.99." Right? You know what I mean? It's like they're getting to see your work and know that they're that it's not something that you just take lightly.
Yeah, and even just following up with folks. So if we get a cold call or a cold email from somebody, text, whatever, and they reaching out to us and they want to potentially do it, like I've been talking with this gal now for 5 months about a huge remodel in the town. It's like a dream project for us because we would do the designing plus the building. It's like 10 minutes away. It's great. But I know that it's for her to write that first check. It's a big deal. This is a life-changing event,
Right.
and I don't want to come off like with sales breath. So the touches are have to be crafted, and you have to get real creative with them, right? So, for example, so I probably touched base with her like 10, 12 times so far, but I think it's probably going to take 4 or 5 more. She's
Yeah.
almost ready to sign. I think it's going to happen in June. But like one example of a real creative one is we just got a commission to do a pool house in about 20 minutes west of her. And so I reached out just to stay on her radar. Hey, could you pass on that pool company's information that you wanted to use for your house? We just got a pool house just west of you. And that at least keeps her top of mind. She's sort of helping me out. I'm helping her out. I'm building the repertoire of like, look, pool house. See, we're doing one. And she already knows, like, yeah, I know. I want you to do one for me too. So it's those kind of like interesting things, or just trying to be helpful to people. And we've gotten 5-star reviews for just being helpful to people, even though they haven't even hired us. So yeah, it's like all the way back to that first point again of,
Right.
yeah,
But that's a key thing. And listeners, I want you to understand this because, Lance, you've had grit, right? You've had to go through stuff. There's highs and lows. It's not always, right? The trajectory is not a straight line up, right? There's, but one thing that you just said is that people would give you reviews just
100%.
for serving. Like I'll share, not that it's being able to say to somebody, "Hey, I can help you." Why? Why are you helping me? Just because.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always I'm almost more proud of those 5-star reviews than the ones where we've served somebody for several years. Because at that point, like, I mean, you can make the argument on the opposite end where it's like serving somebody for 3 years. Holy cow. That's a long sequence. You're going to get tired of each other probably, especially if you build for them, then it gets real interesting. But yeah, the little ones where I'm just like, people will reach out and they'll go, I haven't been able to get any. You're the first architect to pick up the phone. Everybody else just won't even return my calls. I go, oh, I'm sorry about that. Well, how can I help you? Well, I want to know if I can do that, and the other on this property. Oh, sure. Let me look into that for you. It takes me sometimes like 5 minutes. And then I don't even ask for the review when they often give it for me not even getting paid to do billable stuff. It's just they're so grateful. I'm like, oh, that was cool. What a cool experience.
And sometimes I think it's those referrals that you get that are not solicited are so great. They're
Hmm.
really great. Now, you've had your firm for obviously 17 years, right? Is what you said. How do
Yep.
you keep morale up and things going inside the firm so that you don't lose people?
Well, you really got to care. I mean, they're people. They're not machines. They're not the Terminator. I don't want the Terminator working for me. He might turn on me one day. uh, we really concentrate on personal and professional growth, and you can do it professionally so that it just filters into the personal. So one of the things we started doing I think 6 or 7 years ago, is we started doing uh, at the beginning of every year, we read a book for self-improvement.
Oh,
And
cool.
they're professional ones, but they just naturally filter into your personal development. And
Right.
so the first one that we did is, I won't go through all of them, but some of the highlights. First one is Paul Akers' 2 second lean.
Mhm.
And what that has done is it really gave us a framework for continual improvement in the office, personally and professionally. Because the whole concept of the book is Paul Akers he was looking at why are the US auto manufacturers falling behind to Toyota? Like, why is Toyota able to produce a better vehicle,
Hmm.
especially in the 90s, early 2000s, for a lower cost? They're beating the pants out of us. So he went over to the Toyota manufacturer companies in Japan, and he was they did 2 second leans. So all they did is they were like, okay, we have to make this door 1 million times. How do we make that 2 seconds faster? Like all the components that go into it, we got to multiply it times 1 million. Holy cow, that saved a lot of time and money, and now we're able to lower our prices. And so now on every day we have a 2 second lean meeting where somebody has to present a personal win. So they tell us about their weekend. Hey, I went hiking with my girlfriend, boyfriend, cool, whatever, something cool I did with my family. Here's my professional win. I had this problem I was trying to solve with a client. And then here's one of the principles of the F9. There's 9 of them, those principles that were used. It could be like serve one of them. I think number one is serve the client, contractor, and city. So you talk about service. And then another book that's been really instrumental is we had everybody read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Mhm.
And that now has actually been our language every day, is like part of that book. Hey, I'm just seeking to understand. Way different kind of approach. Hey, I'm going to start this project. I'm going to begin with the end goal in mind. How do we get there the fastest, most efficient way? I think because we go those extra layers in the firm, and we do compensate people, we try to compensate them as much as we possibly can. It's not profit over people here. It's sort of one and one type of thing.
Right.
I think that sort of cultural shift has really made a big
Yeah.
difference in our firm.
Okay, so what book are you reading this year?
Oh, we read 3 different ones,
Okay.
and gosh, you're putting me on the spot, and I don't even know them right offhand. That's so
I
funny.
love books.
One person had to, so the junior staff, people who are not licensed, they read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of our project architects, we specifically made him read one that's just a little bit more um, specific to what he sort of needed to improve on. And that one is called Drive. And then the last one is it's a CEO book, but this one is for our project leaders, or like our project architects who are leaders. And it's coming up, The Switched On CEO, How to Think Like a World-Class Leader.
Cool. I love those. That's
Thank
great.
you. Yeah.
Great book recommendations. Okay, so One thing that you also do, and I love this, that you started a podcast. And I think, I mean, I love podcasts. I love helping people. It helps a great way to learn. And that seems to be another way for you to also be able to serve not just you know, your people, but it helps to serve others. So share a little bit about that.
Yeah. We started, so we got to, I'm a big numbers person. Like I'm kind of, that's where I get a little woo woo about like numbers. I'm like, three special, the Trinity, the 12 apostles, and then there's the number seven. And the number seven is like, well, most businesses fail within the first 7 years. And we got to year seven and we went, oh, we haven't failed yet. We should tell our story. We should tell our story because I want more architects who are entrepreneurs. And now it's more manifested into, and now we want more architects who are not only entrepreneurs, but like, hey, if you're tired of not getting paid and what you think you should be, and you're tired of the builders taking on more of the architect's role, then you need to become a builder too. And so over the past 10 years now, 800 episodes deep, almost a million downloads, that's the focus of the Friday show. Is we're bringing folks with a raw, unfiltered look inside the firm. Alex and I are, without naming names, telling client horror stories, success stories, how to do things, how to start up, how to market. We tell some really interesting marketing ideas. Like one time we almost got Jeff Bezos to respond to us with an email. We watched him open it, but he never responded it to us. Where we try to like capture the zeitgeist of the moment. So
Right.
if you remember, like I think 6, 7 years ago, maybe longer than that, Amazon was looking to put a new headquarters somewhere. So we did a little study on like what would it look like if we put the biggest skyscraper downtown Denver, Amazon came there. We didn't get the skyscraper, we didn't get Amazon, but we did get in a bunch of media and local papers, and a developer reached out to us and we got a 12 townhome project.
Oh,
So
that's all.
we yeah, all kinds of tips, tricks, just interesting stuff on the show is what we talk about. We're just advocating for more people to step out of their comfort zone and like take control.
That's really cool. So, and what's the name of that podcast?
Inside the Firm podcast.
Inside the Firm. Okay. And then you also said you do another one as well,
Well, yeah, we do a Monday show,
a
and
Monday
it's
show.
called Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. And I have folks on like yourself, some other famous people, like John McAfee from McAfee Software was on one time. I try to pick people's brains and just pull over like business professionals from other professions who a lot of architects are always like looking outwards and going, well, why do the lawyers make all this money and are, seem successful, and doctors or whatever? And so I bring those folks on to hopefully we can learn from them and
Right.
grow and be better professionals.
I absolutely love it. I think what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. And I love the insight that you're giving, just, you know, being able to think outside the box when you're actually doing marketing and actually reaching out to people. I feel like that is actually one of the things that I feel like, God, I can't say enough, right? If there's a way to go against the grain,
Hmm.
do a little different, you know, if you want to have Jeff Bezos as your client, go after it. What's
Try
stopping you?
it.
Right.
Yeah.
What's stopping you? Right. Go
Yeah.
after it. Um, so Lance, how can our listeners get to know and connect with you directly, learn more about what you're doing? Besides, I mean, I'll put all the other links in the show notes, but how can they connect with you?
I would love it if they linked in with me. I try to
Okay.
post not only the cool stuff that we're doing all the time at the different companies we have, but just inspirational stuff, reflecting back on my career, where it's going, how people can, learn from me, maybe avoid some of the mistakes. If you just go to LinkedIn, type in my name, Lance, last name Cayko, Cayko. I will link in with anybody. And then they can also go to f9productions.com, sign up for a newsletter, and reach out
Awesome.
there.
Fantastic. Well, I will put all of that in the show notes. Listeners, Lance had some great tips here, so please do me the favor and share this episode with your friends, colleagues, and business associates that you know, because this is some must hear knowledge and must see knowledge. And then please do me the other favor if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do hit subscribe. And lastly, but not least, we have a great amazing community happening on the school platform. It's Unstoppable Success. I invite you to come into the platform, come into the community, and join us on Unstoppable Success. We are sharing lots of great information, tips, insights for you to have unstoppable success. And every Wednesday at 3, we have and I should say 3 Pacific time, we have a power hour to help you work on something that you need to work on to power through the hour, because we all know how those days are. So join us on school. We'll have that link in the show notes too. And Lance, thank you for being an amazing guest and sharing with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
So great. And this is Unstoppable Success. We're helping you leap to your greatest success. I'm your host, Jaclyn Strominger, and tune in every Tuesday and Thursday where you'll get great insights from amazing people out there doing the work. Again, thank you for listening, and thank you, Lance. I'm Jaclyn Strominger, and I want to invite you to join the Unstoppable Success community on School. You can go to Unstoppable Success at school-9143 and join us. In this community, you will get daily tips so that you can be unstoppable, and you'll also connect with other leaders and professionals who are also aiming for their unstoppable success and are there to help you succeed. So join us in the community. We can't wait to see you on School.